Spawning in the top right hand corner. It's the Zerg player in pink. It's immOrTaL. And then a bottom left hand corner representing the Golden Armada in the lovely shade of orange. It's the Protoss player. It's niven. Two new players. What possibilities await us? These are players now. We are getting to a point of the tournament where they are players who have had a plan and they have executed on their plan so far today. They've gone through other series and they are continuing to fight forward. These are the quarterfinals. Winning this does get them into a money spot. So this is starting to feel the pressure, but at the same time looking to repeat the success that has brought you thus far. What is the plan going to be? And immOrTaL is going to be doing a proxy hatch. So there we go. We got some fun stuff coming out. A proxy hatch is going to be the play out of immOrTaL. If you are niven, you have a bit of information that something is weird. You're not seeing enough going on at the base of immOrTaL. Waiting to see this natural. The longer you wait, the more nervous you're going to be. You're going to be expecting a 12 pool if you're niven. I don't think you're going to be expecting a proxy hatch. This proxy hatch, based on its location, I would guess we're going to have some quick Ravagers here coming out of this proxy hatch. immOrTaL is going to go ahead and drone scout, is going to take a look around, and is going to manage to steal the gas. So immOrTAL playing a very, very frustrating style so far, and niven is feeling the brunt of that as he gets his gas stolen. He has no idea. He has no idea how frustrating it's about to get for him, though. Spawning pool's going to finish up, and a Roach Warren should pretty immediately follow. There's the Roach Warren. Roach Warren coming up immediately after. Meanwhile, the proxy hatch has larva waiting to be used. I'd almost like to see a couple drones. Maybe throw down some spine crawlers, but I'm not going to tell the man how to live. Here we go. Second, a queen coming, but the queen's at the forward hatchery. Interesting. Going to go ahead and use up all these larvae on Zerglings for right now. Undersaturated on the main mineral line. Not a lot of income here for immOrTAL. Down 8 workers. He is pretty all in here. Or 6 workers now, but pretty all in. This is pretty much an all-in gambit here. A few Zerglings are on the front door, and this is not too surprising if you're niven. You knew there were some shenanigans, but what shenanigans are following these Zerglings remain to be seen. These Zerglings getting more damage done than they had any right getting as they get us around. They get too much surface area on the Zealot in the wall. This is not a great wall, and that's the problem that niven's running into right now. Here we go. 2 roaches are already across the map. niven has to say, where did these roaches come from? How did they get here so fast? Well, the Zerglings will be made into lunch by these Zealots. These roaches are another matter altogether. The Zealot will have to evacuate the wall in an attempt to save its own life, but he will fall anyway. Full surrounds on these roaches by these probes are nice, but probes are going to take a while to mow through. And oh, what a nice piece of micro there to morph into a Ravager before it dies. GG is called. immOrTAL taking game 1 with the proxy hatch that never even gets scouted. Well done. That's the kind of Platinum Heroes shenanigans I was hoping to see today. Well done. Spawning in the top left-hand corner, he made me a fan. He made me a supporter with that proxy hatch. Game 1, what does he have in store for us in game 2? It's the pink Zerg. It's immOrTAL. And in the bottom right, getting cheesed out in game 1 doesn't feel good. Will he be able to make the necessary corrections to force the deciding map? It's the Protoss player, niven. So first things first, if you're niven, you got to be thinking, I am not going to screw up my wall again. Those opening Zerglings would not have been nearly as effective if the wall had been properly placed. He's going to go ahead and do that little loop-de-loop here to verify that this is indeed a gap where units can move through the wall. I don't know if an immOrTaL can move through that gap, but the probe was able to move through. So already with the focus on walling here is niven. Niven recognizing that wall was very necessary in the last map. Niven does scout a natural from his opponent, which already going to be breathing a sigh of relief. Things all looking much more standard out of immOrTaL in this game too. Drones on the way. Everything looking normal here for immOrTaL so far. I'm interested to see when he plans on taking a third base. Very key decision and how aggressive he plans on being early in this game. Second Nexus started up before core for niven, so niven is opening up the economic way. He was not scared so bad. He wasn't scared out of playing his game, which you love to see. Hopefully he's got something fun planned here to crawl back into this series and give us something exciting. Probe on the scouting side for niven, going to make sure there is no third base just yet. It's a little early for that. Poking his head in, so everything looks up to par here. Maybe checking for a roach swarm, maybe just scouting because he knows scouting is a thing that he should do. Not 100% sure on this one. Pokes at the extractor. Quite possibly a misclick based on the rally, but that is going to get the attention of immOrTaL as these Zerglings pop. That will be the end of the road for the probe. Back on the other side of the map, there is an Overlord here hanging out in the natural of niven, keeping an eye on things, making sure everything's on the up and up. This is a much more effective wall against early shenanigans, but early shenanigans are not coming. These 4 Zerglings are more of a lookout party, more of a scouting party than everything else. 10 more Zerglings on the production tab. And a Baneling Nest, though. We might have a Bane bust on our hands. Now, one thing, a problem I immediately see with this Bane bust is immOrTaL is gonna get. He's gonna throw away some Zerglings. He also needs to start. Look at all this money he's floating. immOrTaL needs to start another Overlord. Bane's on the front door, smelling that something could be a May. Inching forward and backward are these Zerglings, and I think niven is a little bit nervous right now, as he should be. Chrono boosting out Warp Gate, but here come the Banelings. Immediately abandoning the wall, allowing these units in is probably not the start that he needed. And here we go, boys have been pulled. This is a battle for the future of the Protoss. Down immediately fall 8 workers as these Banelings get money shots that they never could have hoped for when they were originally spawned to break through the wall. Good damage has been done, but is it enough? Absolutely not. No, it is not enough. 19 workers at home for immOrTaL to 29 workers for niven. The push from immOrTaL did not have that killing blow that it really needed to be. Continuing to flood units across the map as immOrTaL, continuing to commit to this Bane bust, sitting on a very painful supply block. And here comes the second round of Banes. The second round of Banes are not even going to break through the immOrTaL. They do soften it, or through the Adept. They soften it up. In come the Zergling. Boys are pulled, but as these shield batteries finish, so will this attack. One hero zealot here is doing a lot of work along with the ranged forces of the Stalker and the Adept behind. More workers falling than need to. 7 more workers fall. Probably didn't need to fight so bravely with these workers. So as the attack fizzles out, we have to ask ourselves, is niven aware of the very, very strong position that he's in? He lost so many workers. It's easy to think maybe he's a little frustrated with how many workers he lost, and he's going to think he's lost. Oh, he's moving out on the map, and there's more coming. This isn't over yet. Look at your mini-map. There's another wave coming. immOrTaL is very committed to killing him now. 3 more Adepts coming in, and the door has been left open. These Zerglings, they're headed in. They're headed in towards the main. jumping on top of this pylon, looking to shut down charge before it does. And oh, what a great time to shut down charge. 4 probes have fallen so far. These probes are making themselves targets by choosing to fight. These probes did not have to fight. They could have protected their own lives. But 6 more probes will fall as a result. immOrTAL's still down on workers. He still hasn't gotten enough damage done. But he is clawing his way towards enough damage with each progressing wave. Drones are on the production tab now. I think immOrTAL recognizes that this army's getting too big. He's not going to be able to kill his Protoss opponent without transitioning into another part of the game. He should not be able to transition off of this. He's down on workers. He's just now firing up the 3rd base. This should be a win. We should be headed to a map 3 here, but let's see what's going to happen. 5 Zerglings headed out onto the map, just enough to jump on top of an Adept that they find, but they don't want to jump on top of the Adept. They're going to head right past the Adept. They've got scouting. They've got a mission. Inching forward like they want to take a look on the other side of that wall, but these 3 Zerglings will be denied their peep on this day. 4 roaches on the production tab, a Dark Shrine coming up for the Protoss player. Zerg trying to upscale that, trying to scale up his gas income, but he doesn't have enough mineral income. You typically on a macro game, and I'm not saying there's tons of variations from this, but the standard from which you would deviate, and you would want to deviate from the standard with a purpose, is 3 fully saturated mineral lines before going up past 1 gas. And with early pressure, early aggression, things can change on that. ZvZ, things can change on that. But right now, I think more mineral income is going to be necessary to properly support the gas income that he's starting up. Jumps on top of the Scouting Adept. The Scouting Adept is neglected a bit. But that's going to be okay. Roaches starting to get up in pretty decent numbers here. Meanwhile, an Adept and a Zealot headed around the map looking for scouting info. The Dark Shrine is finished up. We do not have a Warp Prism on the map for the Dark Shrine. Throwing up Templar Archives as well. Are we going to get some DTs? You invested in the Dark Shrine. Let's see some DTs. Double upgrades starting up for our Protoss player. He is in a commanding position in this game, but the supply is in favor of the Zerg. The Zerg has closed that worker gap. He has an army lead. Now, I don't think his army can fight. Even ahead in supply, I don't think his army necessarily... Oh, actually... well... No immOrTALs. This DT is going to be the deciding thing. This DT, there's no detection. No detection. This DT is about to be a hero, folks. How many kills will the DT get? 1. We're going to stay on the DT and track its kills. Battling it out. Things are looking good for the Zerg at first, but an invisible foe continues to trim the numbers as the Zealots. The Zealots are doing good work too. DT only gets 4 kills while the Zealots doing the rest of the work. Another DT has been added to supplement the forces. Meanwhile, there is a DT picking off the 3rd base. There's a DT in the main base starting to slay some drones. No DT in the NAT yet, but you gotta believe it's coming. These drones are getting thinned out. 45 workers to 27. Niven is in a very strong position. Niven will be tying this series up. Almost definitely we are headed to a map 3, a deciding map between these 2 players in this quarterfinal match. Rest of the army moving out on the map. This is a large amount of DTs, probably more than you want, but the DTs have gone so well for him, you can't blame him for liking the investment. 27 measly workers, all trying to safely find a place to mine. So much larva here, unable to be... Look at all this larva. Look at all this larva, and now look at all that money. Oh, there we go. The money gets spent. As I pointed out, all the larva gets turned into roaches. This is a very nice little Zerg army here, but this is a Zerg army that has to go kill the Protoss. If you're not going to remake, the drones that you've just lost, you are all in. You are trying to kill the Protoss, and that's going to be the plan. He's added an Overseer to his forces, and he is moving out on the map. Let's see what waits for him on the other side. 2 Archons, 6 DTs, 7 Adepts. He could kill the Protoss with this, maybe. The upgrades, though. Yeah, no. I think Protoss has this. I think Protoss wins this fight, but it could be close. Let's see what happens here. Army supply is in favor of immOrTaL. 1 DT inches forward, gives up its life to the incoming pack of roaches, and here we go, fighting in a choke point. This is where you want to fight if you are the Protoss player. Down falls the detection, and 2 DTs remain in the army. More detection arrives, but will it get picked off once again? Downfall to 3 DTs, detection no longer so important. Still a very, very nice roach count here, but here comes another wave of adepts with supporting charge lots. Biles rain from the sky on top of the adept backline, but the front line of charge lots is cutting through this roach ravager army. It is dwindling in number. The overseer falls. The Protoss army will reign supreme on this day. 3 Ravagers are all that remain from this once great force back on the other side of the map. Injections have been missed. No injection on the main, no injection on the net, no injection on the third. There will not be reinforcements. Protoss is going to take this game, whether with this wave or the next wave. It'll be the next wave. Spoiler alert. Protoss still on a very comfortable worker lead. With these missed injects, the worker lead, all signs are pointing towards a Protoss victory. Start thinking about game 3. Will immOrTaL go back to the well of cheese in an attempt to outsmart his opponent, or will he make a few adjustments, prepare better for a possible DT push, and trust his macro in map 3? We'll see. Or, craziest plot twist at all, now that I have all but declared this game over, will Niven play with his food too much and let immOrTaL back in the game? That would be a twist. 3 more DTs arrive at the third. It would be a twist, but it is just straight up not going to happen. Morphing in an overseer. 1 DT is going to continue sawing away at this third base, kind of wasting your time before the overseer pops, honestly. This F2A move, man. 72 army supply to 75 of the Zerg, but that Zerg army supply is very heavy with roaches. Now, this isn't the best roach busting army, but it has 2 immOrTALs. It's got a nice little Archon count. I got to think you this F2A move here if you're the Protoss. What is the plan going to be? I still think this game is over. I still think Niven is in an unlosable position, borderline unlosable position, as he makes such an A-movable army. Charge lot immOrTAL Archon, a classic Protoss army. Sending in these adepts by themselves is an interesting choice. He will cancel the Shade. It's a nice little scout, I guess, but it's a lot of units to commit to his scout. There's also a DT out here on the map looking to maybe be annoying. Adepts are going to probably finish this Shade. Yeah, Adepts will finish this Shade. They were looking for a little bit of worker harass, but they're not going to find it. Here comes Protoss moving out onto the map. Really taking his time here. Wants to make sure he has an unlosable position, truly unlosable, before he moves out. Now, with the supplies looking this even and the worker count so in favor of the Protoss, he is down on army supply here. He has the better units, but is the count going to be enough for Zerg to mow through it? We're about to find out. Biles raining from the sky. The splash damage from these Archons is truly doing a lot of work as another round of Zealots comes into body block for the damage dealers in the back. That's going to be it. Going to mow through this entire army. A bunch of Overlords were brought out with the army, and they're going to fall as well. GG is called. 1-1. We're headed to a deciding match. Here we go. Spawning the top left-hand corner. Looking to repeat the results of game 1. It's the Zerg player. It's immOrTaL. And in the bottom right-hand side, we've got the Protoss player. It's niven. What's the plan going to be, immOrTaL? Do you have something fun, or are you just going to go standard and try and improve from the mistakes that were made in Game 2? Your fans at home are dying to find out. Standard so far is the answer to that question. Won't be a proxy hatch, but it could still be something fun. Probe headed towards the third. Going to keep an eye on the pace at which his opponent expands. Back at home, a Nexus is going to be started up right on time. Followed by a core. Core is going to go right here. The quality of the wall was one of the deciding factors of Game 1. Interested to see how Game 2 or how Game 3 goes. Second gas firing up. Probe continuing to patrol at the third. It's going to come take a look. Actually, going to come take a look. Get a little bit of scouting info, see what the immediate decisions by the Zerg that are made after the pool finishes. Any kind of Roach Warren, anything like that. Not going to see that. Really needs to get back to the third. Getting the timing of the third. Very critical information here for niven. Stargate is going to be the tech of choice here for niven, right in the front wall, not trying to hide anything. However, that wall, that is not a wall. That is not a wall. So there was an Overlord with a front row seat to the inadequacies of this wall. Has immOrTaL noticed that? Is he going to do anything to try and punish that? He has not started producing any army yet, but there's going to be a nice window here to punish this before Stargate units are out. This isn't a wall, niven. Let's see what unit of choice will come first out of the Stargate. An important choice here. immOrTaL is going to get hit by the dreaded 36 supply block. He's got his third base on the way. Zergling speed about to finish. As these Overlords pop, he's going to be sitting on a lot of money in larva. Let's see what he spends it on. Adding a couple spores and adding a lot of drones. So even though the wall is problematic, to say the least, that is not going to be punished today. immOrTaL wants a higher drone count after his Bane busted debacle. Not looking to make the same mistake. Overlord will be chased off by this Void Ray. A little bit of wasted chrono boost time there. Layer's been started up back at home for the Zerg player. Third base is firing up. Probably could be making some more drones right now. Floating a bit of money. There we go. 8 more drones on the way. But already having trouble spending the money that you are making, so make sure you got a plan for that. Possibly throw down Roach Warren? No? Undersaturated at the net. What is this blue dot? We've got a little probe hanging out. Probe is cosplaying as a drone. Hydrogen is on the way for the Zerg. No Evo chambers just yet. 3 more gateways being added on back at home for the Protoss, as well as Twilight Council. And a Robo. Lots of new technology coming out today for Niven. Let's see what the plan is going to be. In the last game that looked like this, Niven did a very good job at making a very, very powerful army that was able to roll over his opponent. But last game, he was at the benefit of a handicapped Zerg who had committed very heavily to a Bane Bust and not gotten the necessary damage. Let's see what a macro game is going to look like when both players are macroing from the start. As we approach the 6-minute mark, and Niven has not taken a 3rd base yet. That's not great. You do want to take a 3rd base around this time, and you want a 4th base for Zerg, so their macro up to this point has been macro heavy, but if the longer they stay in the current base situation, the less of a macro thing it is, and the more could be thinking about a earlier attack. Now, is this gonna block would that block a Nexus? I don't think it blocks the Nexus. It might block the Nexus. Yeah, I think you realized the same thing. Gonna go ahead and make the Nexus first. Zerg army poking its head out like it's thinking about moving out. Infestation Pit on the way. Hive Tech on the horizon. Hydra upgrades coming out. Ranged upgrade coming out. As well as Carapace. Carapace, a questionable choice against Protoss. But upgrades are good. Upgrades are good. It's the right idea. Continuing to inject. Still hasn't thrown down a 4th base. Niven is sitting on a huge gas bank. Charge on the way for Niven, but no Templar archives. Templar can be a great, and immOrTALs, or not immOrTALs, Archons. Archons can be great as a gas dump when you're floating a lot of gas you need to spend. But can't make those Archons without that Templar archives. Is that a 2nd Robo? Or is that, yeah, it's a 2nd Robo. I'm wondering if that 2nd Robo was on purpose. A Dark Shrine will be a path to Archons. Less good as a gas dump, but it is a path to Archons. Supply in favor of the Zerg right now. He's got a nice Ling Hydra army. Probably plans to be Ling Bane Hydra. Observer gonna park right on top of the army in a very advantageous position here. Gonna really be able to track what's going on with the Zerg. Zerg's 4th base is going to be finished soon here. Hive is gonna more than halfway towards completion. Lurker Den being added on as well. With these Hydras, as soon as that Lurker Den finishes, I'd expect to see all available gas going into morphing some Lurkers. Probably should take your 2nd gas in your main. Yeah, probably. Maybe some drones on the 4th. Lurker Den's been finished up, but no Lurkers morphing just yet. Hive has also finished. Continuing to spend his larva and grow his army that way, not looking to move up the tech tree into those Lurkers just yet on the other side of the map. Plus, if he morphs those Lurkers, he doesn't know this, but there we go. He's going to morph Lurkers right on top of an Overseer. So this Overseer will have the information that Lurkers are going to be the play. Another Overseer not staying with the army, though, moving out onto the map. Couple more Lurkers being morphed. These armies are they are growing, they are evolving, they are getting to very, very scary forms on both sides of the map. When either player decides that the moment is correct to strike, we are in for quite the showdown here. Zealot coming in will probably get an F2'd army sent its way to be dealt with. How many drones will it get before it goes down? 2 is going to be the answer to that, along with a Zergling or 2. More Hydras being added onto the army, as well as, oh, 24 drones. 24 drones on the production tab. Really looking to expand that economy into a proper economy that'll support this late game hive tech. 95 workers for immOrTaL. Debatably too many workers. 31 here on the 4th base. Probably should be throwing up a 5th, maybe even a 6th and 7th base at this point. Moving out onto the map with this Ling Hydra Lurker army. Supply is in favor of the Zerg, but units on the Protoss side of things are pretty scary. These Colossus are going to be tough to get on top of. They have strong range advantage. No Thermal Lance, though. Yeah, Thermal Lance. It's in production now. Fighting on top of these Lurkers. Here's the battle that we've been waiting for. The last Lurker is continuing to shell from the back line. Might be the difference in this fight. Detection was there. The first Lurkers fell so fast, but this last Lurker has continued to fight from the back line, making this fight a lot closer than it was looking earlier. It will get cleaned up, though. Protoss still with very valuable units of these 2 Void Rays and these 3 Colossus moving out onto the map, going to bolster these forces with another round of Warpins before taking the battle. And now, while the supply looks great for immOrTaL, he does not have very effective supply against what he's dealing with. He's got 94 workers who are obviously not good fighters. And he's got Hydras, and Hydras just get absolutely destroyed by Colossus. He knows he needs Lurkers. He's morphing in a Lurker, but his gas income, despite his massive economy, he does not have the gas. He needs to add more Lurkers to this army. With any available larva, he can crank out some Zerglings, but Zerglings aren't going to do terribly well against the Colossus either. Moving up forward, though. Protoss, very patient, content just securing a 4th base. These 2 are headed to the ultra late game. We got a showdown, but the 200-200 showdown that awaits us will rock the world. The Hydra bile, the Hydra spit will cloud out the sun. So the Protoss will have to fight in the shade. Supply in favor of immOrTaL. Both players very, very cautious about where they are positioning their army. They'll think about moving forward. They'll inch back. Creep spread, while not phenomenal, is, as time passes, it's going without being sent back. The creep's not being pushed back. It will continue to move out onto the map. It's about halfway across right now. Not a terrible place to be. Lurker count is improving, and this is a maxed out Zerg. He is 200 out of 200, adding even more Hydras to this army, but once again, Hydras are exactly what Colossus do best against. The army supply is heavily in favor of the Zerg, but he's taking a fight that I'm not sure is going to be advantageous for it. Kiting backward on top of his Lurkers, but now his Lurkers in the front line will be immediately dealt with by the splash damage from these Archons and these Colossus. This is a Zerg on the ropes as he falls backward with nothing to deal with the incredibly powerful Protoss units that are bearing down on him. Kiting backwards like a Silver League of Legends AD carry main is not going to be enough for him on this day. 4 Colossus, 2 Void Rays, 2 Archons on the front desk. Niven is in a commanding position, looking to complete the reverse sweep and head into the semifinals of Diamond Heroes number 5. Moving forward are more Hydras, but more Hydras will be melted by the lasers from the sky coming from these War of the Worlds looking Colossi. Adding a DT into the mix for good measure. A DT and a few Zealots chewing through this forward base. During all this time, another base has been taken out by DTs. Zerg has managed to expand into more locations, which is probably why we haven't seen a GG yet. But Zerg just has nothing to deal with the units that he's being faced with. Zerg has nothing to deal with these Colossus, and he has no Spire to crank out some a few Corruptors to deal with them, and at this point it would be too late. (3-3) finishing up for Zerg, which is nice, but Carapace upgrades just don't do that much against Protoss, and everything the Zerg has made is just hard countered by these Colossus. These Zealots are going to body block. Zealots are the meat shield. Now, coming in for the flank is not a bad idea. They will catch one Colossus off on their own, but as the rest of the Colossus turn around, well, the Colossus will fall. They are left. The meat shield abandons them and leaves them alone, but 20 drones will fall as a result. 3 supporting Archons and a Colossus arrive. immOrTaL calls GG. Niven will take the series 2-1.